Yesterday I went in the park trying to film some nice shots to have some material for my next video. The water of the lake was glimmering, wild geese were gliding over the golden waters.
It was quiet, gentle. It felt like peace. I wanted to melt, to diffuse, to dissolve back into the source. But what if this wasn't peace at all? What if it was a craving to vanish? What if the calm is only a cover for something deeper, something darker?
Am I lying to myself?
At night, I had a dark dream. The complete opposite of what I experienced while awake. The dream felt familiar, like an old story I once knew, like a legend. What does it mean when a dream feels like a myth?
I'm finding myself on the riverbank. It is pitch black night. I can see the water of the rivers glimmering slightly. I can see the mud shining a little bit. There is something strange about this river. It's luring me to swim in it. I realized the danger because it feels almost like an entity. It's not a regular river. I try to get away from it. I find a tree and I wrap my arms around its trunk. I can feel the rugged bark with my palms, and I'm desperately hanging on that trunk. And I see other people trying to go and swim in the river, and I try to warn them, don't go there. The dream was exactly the opposite of my waking experience. I made the mistake of not interpreting my dreams from the mythical perspective, and mythical perspective means I have this dream and I have to figure it out. How does the story resembles another story or another myth or a legend or a folk narrative? Nowadays we live in technological age. It's a miraculous age, I would say, because now access to archaeological knowledge or mythological knowledge is very easy. We can give an input and we get answers, suggestions. Before it was difficult. You had to go to a psychoanalyst. Even Jung remarked that it is quite difficult for the common person to interpret his dream without solid knowledge of mythology. So what I did was trying to figure it out. When did that happen? I discovered a series of legends across the world where evil spirits inhabit rivers and they call people, lure them to death. And always in these stories, in these myths, we had the counterspell. You see, that's the benefit in finding the myth that is similar to your dream. You may be lucky enough to find a solution to your dilemma inside the myth. It contains a way to resist, I don't know, a chant or a trick you can do. I wrote an input online. What myth involves someone being pulled by an irresistible force and anchoring himself to something? And of course, the first, I had a hunch what it could be, but it was confirmed. Homer's Odyssey presented the story of the sirens. The siren's song was deadly. It was luring seamen and pulling them to their death if they were listening to this song. So what Odysseus did was asking his mates to fill their ears with the beeswax so they don't hear the call. Himself, he tied himself to the mast of the ship so he is not cold, so he doesn't listen, he doesn't go towards his own death. That suggests that that pull is bigger than your own will. right? It is something very powerful. What was similar with my dream was the desire to anchor myself to something. That river, I knew what it was. It was exhaustion. What is this feeling of the dream reminds me of? And it reminded me of my whole struggle. That my life was a struggle since the moment I was born. I was born at home, thrown into a cold blanket, an unwanted pregnancy, and then growing up in an alcoholic household, a depressive mother who then, failed relationships, jobs I couldn't keep, although I tried my best and gave my sweat and blood for the full stack of diplomas and qualifications, and still was not enough. And then facing the birth of my autistic son, trying to not get swept away by despair. There is this soul deep weariness, and when you are in that state, what is the most attractive lure is giving up. Is the voice in your head telling you you deserve the rest. It's surrender. So my siren's call was to rest. Rest and everything will be good. You will take a respite from your burden. It's not forever, just take a break, you know. But there is an eerie similarity in this situation with how my mother acted when she suffered from major depression. All she did was rest. She was in the bed all day watching TV until she became skin and bones. She couldn't pull herself out, not even with medication, out of that state. You may think that this unconscious drive to darkness, to rest, to relax, to disappear, only belongs to people who have some sort of pathology. But how many times do we see our relatives laying in front of the TV, numbing themselves? What kind of drive is bigger than their own? Through my search, I came to the Freud's idea that there is a death drive in people, and it's called Thanatos. So in Greek mythology, Thanatos is the personification of death. It's not a violent death. It is gentle, quiet, slow. It's a desire to disappear, to rest eternally. It's the desire to end the tension, to undo yourself. The opposite drive is eros, the desire for life, to thrive, to create, to bloom. It disguises itself as relief, but it is actually resignation. I identified the myth. What is the solution now? A strange feeling that when you let yourself go, there are all sorts of somatic diseases that can appear in your life. Sometimes I remember my sister who passed away, and when I look now in retrospect, I realized that it was a sign of major depression. She always had dirty dishes in her sink. There was always this pool of grease and cigarette butts and cups of coffee with cold coffee remaining inside. So when you listen to this rest impulse, you end up, for example, with a dirty house. You go and you look, and then you get more deeper despair. Freud said that indeed the human life is the struggle between between eros and thanatos. So I don't want to fool myself that I am cured by this struggle. It's ongoing struggle. But there is the dream seems to say you have to anchor yourself through something. Now, I didn't discover yet what the tree trunk represents. What is my anchor? I still feel like I'm drifting. But at least now I have the knowledge that there is a dangerous impulse out there inside myself. If I listen to it, it would not have a good end. And that I have to anchor myself with to something that counteracts this feeling. I have a hunch what that might be, but my ego doesn't want to tolerate it. I like to cook simple dishes, and I like to write humorous pieces. Sometimes I would like to share them with the world. Maybe I would do that on a separate playlist. I don't know, but that would be my anchor. You see, Jung said you cannot become conscious by staying in the light or imagining only light around you, because the unconscious is not very tolerant of dishonesty. It will show you the true pictures of yourself. The dark impulses do not disappear. That's why you see those people who they were seemingly very happy, but they took a sudden decision and ended their lives. A childhood schoolmate, I heard that he committed suicide. He was a successful lawyer. He was a good looking man in his 40s. Before he committed suicide, he was part of a group doing folk dances. The light you are surrounding yourself is not genuine, it is a facade. Deep in the unconscious lures that threatening force. Carl Jung advised that we should paint our dreams. Even if we don't think that we have an artistic talent, it's not the talent and the perfection that matters, but the insights you get from painting that dream and how those insights modify your current situation, your behavior. Does it fix an issue? I started drawing it. But I want the perspective to be the exact one from my dream. That's why I don't look up images online. I don't want to distort that image because it can contain important clues for its interpretation. As I'm walking, I am here is the tree, but in the dream I only see the tree trunks, the tree trunk. So it's like I said, it is a rugged structure. I don't know why the dream thinks to this is important. And here it's me. Let's draw first my hand. I was looking towards somebody, right? Towards somebody, trying to warn them. As I hold on to the tree myself, here is perhaps somebody trying to swim in the river. Do not swim, do not go inside. Elements of the dream, the tree and the river and another person. Let's get to coloring. But first I need to write down an important observation. First, I noticed that the park had a rough texture. Only saw trunk. That is the two observations here. It was rather chilly and dark. I will write here the observations about the colors because I dream in colors. You know what? I'm going to make the river black. It was black, No point in lying. Why should I make it blue when it was black? So I finished the drawing, and one thing I noticed is that here is me, here is another person that I'm trying to warn. What the difference between me and the other person is the level of awareness of this issue. This person is completely unaware, while I am aware, but I am not totally out of the woods. You know, this Odysseus, he tied himself with a rope around the mast. The force of pulling him was great, very great. And what I have here, I have just my bare hands around half of the trunk. Not a great grip, I would say. That's all for now. I hope I gave you something to think about. Take care of yourself and see you next time. Bye bye.